What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Morgan with a Y. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, you will notice that my background is a little bit different, and that's 99% of what today's video is about, is me updating my bedroom. So my last video, self-care with the 2020 Dodge Challenger, I talk a little bit about wanting to take control of things, and I found myself working from home more during COVID and spending a lot more time in my room than before, and I really just needed change, which is why I decided to take a little bit of control back in my life and in my personal space by redesigning my room. I didn't knock down any walls or do anything major. You'd be surprised what a fresh coat of paint can do to a room. There's a lot of little things that I also went into designing this room that you may find helpful, like playing with lighting, picking your colors that work well with the lighting in your room or your space you're trying to update. And picking out small colors for other designs to make sure they go with your colors and whatnot. So stick around and we'll get right into the video. So the most important items I mentioned before to consider when choosing paint colors is knowing 1, what you like, 2, the lighting of the room you're going to be painting, and 3, the angles of the room. My room is really dark in general, like I said, so natural light is really bad in here. So when rooms are like that, if you make your window wall your accent wall, which is the darker colored wall, it will make light stand out more when you look at that wall. So the first thing you see when you walk in my room is like, yeah, you'll see this dark wall, but you'll also see a burst of light coming from the window. So it makes the room appear a little bit brighter and a little bit bigger. Getting into designing a room, the first thing you want to do is pick out your colors. So what I did was, the first thing I did was, while I was like getting my room prepped, I was picking my colors out. So my mom had this great like Sherwin-Williams coloring book. Had this great book of colors of like different paint colors that you could look at, and we've used this for painting a lot of the rooms in the house over the years. So I went through this book and I really thought about like what I really wanted my room to look like, thinking about the lighting and everything in my room. You can see behind me, it looks white, it's an off-white, you'll see that more later. But you really want to pick out colors that describe you. Yeah, so once I had purchased all my paint, I was ready to start removing everything from my room. So I started taking down I started moving major furniture first, getting rid of trash. I really purged first, then removed trash, furniture, all that stuff out my room, and started removing things off the walls. So once I had the large items out of my room, I was ready to paint. I was ready to spackle. So I started filling holes in my walls to make sure the wall would look smooth and pretty for when I was ready to repaint it. So after spackling, of course, I smoothed the walls, sanded them down with a sand block to make sure they were smooth again. And after that, I was ready to start taping. So I started with the molding around the floor. Since of course I had sanded the walls down, there's a bunch of dust on the molding there. So there was a bunch of dust that was on there. So I had to wipe all that dust off before applying the tape, because of course the tape isn't going to stick if I have a bunch of like dust on it. So I went down the floorboards and started wiping the dust off with a paintbrush, simple paintbrush, and then taping it and applying that on there. So you want to tape the walls that you make a tape distinguishment between like your actual walls and like if you're going to do an accent wall and that wall, so your paint doesn't overlap. You also want to tape the ceiling. I was lazy originally and I didn't tape the ceiling, and I was like, whatever, I'll just paint the, close to the ceiling without painting the ceiling. And that's where I made the mistake of thinking I could paint perfectly and not paint the ceiling. So it doesn't look bad because it was primer. I didn't start like painting with my color when I started painting. I was using primer. So I was like, primer's white, ceiling's white, it'll look cool. It's a little bit noticeable. So I started and then I corrected myself. I eventually taped the ceiling so no paint would get on the ceiling. But in this case, generally, if you're painting a room, you touch up the ceiling after you're done painting. I was too lazy. I didn't want to touch the ceiling, so I made sure I was very careful to try not to get any paint on the ceiling, so I would not have to repaint. So after a tedious process of putting my primer on the walls, my original paint was covered, and now I was ready to paint with my paint colors. So I started with the off-white color. I figured, that was the largest portion of the room. It was all of the walls except for the window wall, which is the smallest wall in the room. So I was excited to finally get started. In addition to helping you pick out your colors, feel free to look at pictures. I know I went online and looked at accent wall advice, and generally they say you don't want to add an accent wall to a wall that's really has a lot of changes, so weird curves, walls that have a lot of stuff going on, because it'll turn out weird. Yeah, but look at pictures online to kind of give you an idea of what you want. I looked at a lot of model houses, pictures of model houses that I really liked. I considered wallpaper. There are a lot of things I really wanted to try in this house. I watched a lot of HGTV, home renovations, so I had a lot of inspiration. So go out to the internet, go and watch TV to find inspiration of colors that you want to surround yourself with. So I've got everything up except for my accent wall. You probably can't really tell because it's white. But there you go. So to the right is my new color and the left is the accent wall that is yet to be painted. So I originally was gonna put this off till tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna get started on it tonight. So I wanted to get this done in 3 days. Obviously I won't have the entire room done in 3 days, but I still got a huge chunk of it done, and I'm gonna have the painting done by this weekend, so that's exciting. So yeah. So I'm pretty much done. My accent wall is a lot bluer than I thought it would be. Granted, I chose honorable blue, but I thought it'd be like midnight blue, maybe a super dark blue. I mean, this is dark blue, but darker, not black, but almost black blue. So this is looking very gender reveal blue, which is not what I wanted, but it's super late. I feel like I'm getting paint everywhere but where I want it to be. So I'm gonna call it a night, and I'm considering buying new paint tomorrow. I'm just covered in paint all over my clothes and pants. Per usual, did I really paint if I was not covered in paint? But yeah, I'm really not feeling this blue on this wall. It's too bright. I do like how the off-white turned out. It looks nice, but this blue is gonna be the death of me. So we'll see how this goes. So I've decided that I hate this blue, and I'm totally changing it. So let's see if the new blue I picked works better. So just remember when you're painting, if you don't like a color, you're not locked into the color. It's paint. Just paint over it. So the same day I woke up and like saw the paint that I did not like on the wall still after letting it dry, Sherwin-Williams was still having a sale. I bought another gallon of paint and painted over it. It was a darker blue on top of blue, and the blue that resulted after that I really, really loved. It's like this nice sleek dark blue. I'm not gonna paint a black wall in my house, but it's dark enough that like I get that very like pizzazz. It pops, but it accents the rest of the wall just really nicely. So it looks really slick. Once I was done painting, I was ready to get the room set back up. So I started with mounting the TV. Unfortunately, the camera had died on me when we were mounting it, but you do see us initially mounting. You'll see us like applying this. I got help from my dad. Everything else I did on my own, but I did get help from my dad on mounting the TV. But you see this piece of plywood that we purchased from Lowe's, and I stained it so it looked really neat, and then we kind of cut it and we attached our wall mount to that piece of wood, and then attached that wood to the supporting beams in the wall, so to studs in the wall. So we do that. I think my dad said it creates an extra piece of security in the wall. I feel like the TV's on super secure. It's a 58-inch TV. I don't want it falling off the wall, and I don't want it taking the wall off the wall. So it's something you don't have to do when mounting a TV. It's just something I choose to do, but just make sure you're installing that TV on the studs, or your TV, if it is heavy enough, will bring the wall down. So yeah, but this is what the TV looks like. It's really awesome, and I love how it looks. You could see before the TV was just sitting on a dresser in a pretty bad location. I mean, it was on eye level, but it was in the sun during the day, so it was kind of annoying. So yeah, that pretty much covers it for the entire painting process. It's not rocket science to paint a room. I mean, you just kind of make sure you have everything smooth and covered up, and you take your time to do it to make sure that your paint is smooth and even, that it's not crazy. So we're able to hop on over to decorating and everything that I put into making the room kind of feel like me and feel like my safe little bubble of comfort in the world. Yeah, so my primary choice of decorum came from me surrounding myself with things that I like. As you can see before, I had a ton of stuff on the walls. I tried to pull back on that. But I do like to put things in eyesight that bring me joy. So I do like to read manga. I love pictures of my family around. I really like art. So I have several paintings, and some are original artwork that, and some are gifts. I had a friend, I have this awesome Shiba Inu kind of it's like a piece of fabric with a print on it that she got from Japan and brought me. I really love Shiba Inus. So something else about my room that I really love is you will notice there are a lot of mirrors in my room. This is because, like I said, my room is really dark. So I thoughtfully placed mirrors in my room so when light comes in the room, it bounces off. So the majority of my mirrors are on this wall. Like I said, I have a west-facing window. So when the light does come in, it comes in on that side. So as a west-facing window, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So during the morning, my room isn't as bright as it is in the afternoon. So if you build a house, think about this. If you build a house, especially if you want the kitchen to be sunny during the day, put your kitchen on the east side where all your windows are going to be. And then you have a lot of light in your kitchen in the morning. And if you want your kitchen to be sunny in the afternoon, then put it on the west side of the house. So that's just something else to think about. But like I said, yeah, so I didn't want my accent wall, because since this was my accent wall before, it made the room seem really dark because it was the darkest wall in the room where the sun hit. So it didn't make the room feel any bigger. So by adding these mirrors, the room does feel larger. It feels much brighter in here just to have this extra kind of light source that's subtle. So these mirrors that I got, one of them was from Amazon. The other two were, I want to say, reclaimed. There were 2 mirrors we had around the house that we weren't using. And the one in the back you see here, I got on sale from Steinmart, which was going out of business at the time. So I got that for a really cheap price, like under $10. I think it was like $7.50. So it does the job. So I love having real plants. I debated getting real plants versus fake plants. I really enjoy them. 3 plants that I got. One is a money tree. This one's closest to the desk. It's closest to me. I'm trying to grow that green. So I have that. I've had a lot of issues with the Palm Majesty plant I've had because it had an infestation of spider mites. So did not take it too well. I think it went into shock when I switched pots. So it is in quarantine. You won't see it in the background right now because it's in quarantine right now, just trying to regrow and recover. So, but I did add a few things to try to make it grow. Those things are very hard to grow inside. And I have a cactus and a couple of other hardy plants. I'm not the best caretaker of plants, which is why I chose hardy plants. Overall, I'm really excited about how my room turned out, and I appreciate you guys clicking on this video to check out how I did it, and I hope you guys found it helpful. I didn't have time to go through everything in this video. It's a really long video, and I didn't want to keep you guys hostage. But if you do have questions on where I bought stuff or how I did something, feel free to comment below, and I will gladly respond or answer your questions. So with that, that's all I have for you today. Please join me again for the next installment of Morgan with the Why DIY.